Speaking of having a good run, let's hope Michael Penix Jr. has one of those.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, Kirk Cousins has been benched by the Atlanta Falcons, and the 8th overall pick in this past year's draft will be the new starter going forward. Now, if you listen to Dan Orlovsky yesterday, who didn't think this was going to happen from the conversations that he had, although after the game, Coach Raheem Morris said everything's going to get evaluated. We'll come back with a decision after we go through our process, yada, yada. Kind of started and ignited the conversation about maybe Michael Penix's time is now. Well, it was made official yesterday, and I think the alarming thing I heard from Orlovsky yesterday was he felt like Kirk Cousins had lost his confidence. And if you lose your confidence in one of those types of positions, I guess any position in sports, especially at the professional level, that will be your downfall. You know, you hear all these people that are world-renowned in sport, and they talk about the brain being the most powerful thing. Yes, you have to be able to complete the task that you're being required. You have to be able to throw a football. You have to be able to kick a football. You have to be able to hit a baseball. You have to be able to throw a pitch. That is certainly a qualifier to become a professional. But in between the years is where you become a pro, or you're just a guy that was good at sports. In between the years is when you become an all-pro, or just somebody that has a cup of coffee. In between the years is everything. And everybody thinks that's like IQ all the time. No, no, no. That is a confidence that you have to have in yourself that you're going to be able to complete the task that is going to make you be great for your team. So where do you get your confidence from? Well, you get it from the work that you put in. Mm-hmm. Practice is what leads to confidence because you can always fall back on your fundamentals. We think Kirk Cousins has a phenomenal work ethic when it comes to practice. So if it's not just a fundamentals issue, if he's having confidence seeing defenses and understanding things, then that's a confidence that delays you, and that's a confidence that creates 8 interceptions in 4 weeks and 0 touchdowns. That's the type of confidence that I think is very tough to get back in the middle of a season, and now it's Michael Penix's time. And we chatted about this on draft night. Michael Penix was a very good quarterback. At Indiana, he was a great quarterback. Then when he went out to Washington, he was a great quarterback. He's played a lot of football. The throws that he has made is like, hey, this is a pro quarterback. This is a guy who should do very well at the next level. Very mature, has played in a lot of games. His team loves him. He's a great leader. So whenever you draft that type of guy to go into a building, there's always going to be little murmurs about like, hey, this guy should be in here instead of Kirk, especially because it's Kirk Cousins' first year. So then Kirk has that run of bad that he is having. Even in a win this past week, there was no conversation about him having a great game. This felt like inevitable, and I think if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you can feel both vindicated that you spent the number 8 overall pick on Michael Penix Jr., or you can still wonder, did we help add to the lack of confidence that Kirk Cousins was feeling in a situation because in practice he's watching a guy who is picked top 10 spin it all over the field? Who cares for the Falcons? They're still in the NFC South conversation. But this is a massive move for the future of the franchise.
Massive move, especially because of what you just said. They're still in it. Like, it's not like the season's done. It's not like the Bucs have locked it up. No playoff hopes. You put the rookie in and see what you have going forward. So that's huge. Dan was on yesterday and saying he didn't expect this to happen this year. And he also said that he's been hearing that everybody loves what Michael Penix has been doing in the building all year long. So you put the young kid in there, give him a chance to spin it. And when a guy like Kirk Cousins loses that confidence in the passing game, being able to anticipate, make those throws in the windows from the pocket, that's where he is. He doesn't really have another superpower to lean on, like a Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. If they're not really seeing it, they can extend plays and make these different plays with their legs. So when you are in that pocket as a defense, I know we love a pocket quarterback if they're not, fully confident, because we know exactly where they're going to be. We know exactly where we need to be in our zone drops, and now it's just about reading their eyes and breaking on plays. And, yeah, he just kind of lost it, didn't look like himself this last month or so, and you got to do this to kind of keep your team in it.
$180 million deal, $130 million guaranteed. That's where the business of this whole thing comes in. If they were to cut Kirk Cousins, they would take a $65 million cap hit. If they were to trade him, the $27.5 million guaranteed base salary that is for next year would go to the next team. They would eat the $37.5 million to cover the rest of the $65 million in dead cap. We've seen the Denver Broncos take a massive cap hit and be okay with it and say we're moving on. We don't know what's going to happen in Cleveland.
Nope.
That'd be up over $100-some million in dead cap money that they couldn't use on other players to build their team. So you're working at quite a disadvantage versus every other team in the NFL, especially with the parity that there is at the top level. But if you think about money-wise, Kirk Cousins is going to be A-okay.
Oh, yeah.
Kirk Cousins is going to be A-okay.
No doubt.
This is one of the stories of Kirk Cousins. You know, he was willing to bet on himself with the franchise tag with the Washington.
That's back.
The Washington.
The Washington, they're bringing it back.
Still bringing it.
Yeah.
Big booms.
Yeah, big booms.
I mean, it's
Going to make big booms.
He was playing for a Washington team at the time over there in the capital of the United States of America. He took the franchise tag multiple times and said, I'm betting on myself, had good years. That was back when they had that coaching staff that was like Shanahan, McDaniel, I believe LaFleur potentially there. McVay there. There's a whole crew. So their offense was rolling. Raheem Morris, which is why he potentially ended up in Atlanta. So he franchise tagged, had good years. Then he hits the open market, and he was the first guy that I recall at the quarterback position taking a fully guaranteed deal instead of some gross, huge money with a lot of incentives. And Kirk was pretty trailblazing and game-changing whenever it came to contracts for quarterbacks, and that never stopped. He continued to do that throughout his entire career, even in this Atlanta one with $130 million guaranteed. Phenomenal businessman, both he and his agent. So he's going to be just fine, going forward.
No trade clause, too.
What do you mean by that?
So he gets to decide if he wants to waive that or not. So, or he just says, hey, release me, pay me my money, and I go play somewhere else. So,
and there will be teams. Well, there'll still be teams that will want Kirk Cousins, AQ Shipley,
1,000%.
To be starter, to be backup, to be veteran. What do you think?
He's a starter on 21 teams right now. We talked about it before the show. There's not many great quarterbacks in the world right now, and so when you look at that and you got a guy like him, I think he's shouldering a lot of the blame right now, but I also think that the coordinator hasn't done a great job doing what Kirk does best. You're not seeing a lot of the play actions. You're not seeing a lot of the boots. You're not seeing a lot of the nakeds and getting them rolling. Now, is a lot of that to do with his ankle or his Achilles, whatever it is, right? Who knows what's going on, but you still need to let him do what he does best, and they have not done that.
Could you fathom Sam Darnold signs a deal massive somewhere? Kirk Cousins has $30 million coming no matter what, whatever, 60-some million guaranteed.
Oh, yeah.
Russell Wilson's situation next year for contract, and he goes back to Minnesota.
Oh, man.
Could you imagine Kirk going back to Minnesota?
The story.
Getting $1 million. Hey, JJ, young buck, kind of watch.
Watch this.
Watch how this goes. You know, you got to see Sam Darnold last year for a little bit when you were back in the building. Now go ahead and watch me, because Kevin O'Connell has had great success with Kirk Cousins. We know that. When Kirk Cousins wasn't playing, they weren't winning. When he was playing, they were winning. Kind of like what Sam Darnold's doing right now, but much more efficient. This is Sam Darnold's first year, no matter what. It's like Kirk is going to be hot to trot next year, and I think with the way the contract is set up, there's a Russell Wilson situation looming where Steelers are only paying him $1 million this year. He is a $1 million quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow.
Against their entire salary cap. $43 million Denver Broncos are paying him. So he's completely A-OK, and he's become the leader of that team, making, that has to be 30 of 32 salary?
Yeah, it's bottom of the barrel.
Maybe 32?
Yeah, it might be last.
Probably above
Seriously.
Brock Purdy. What's Brock making?
Brock got to be making more than $1 million at this point, right? Fourth year?
Oh, I know with the performance bonus or whatever, he ends up with like $2 million or something.
Player performance bonus that comes in when's that come?
March. I know all about that.
I
know exactly when that comes in.
You got a lot of player performance bonuses. You remember when they were trying to kick those down the road years and years?
They did.
Yeah.
They did. There was an uncapped year in 2013, so I didn't get that money until 2015, which ended up being a good year. It was a good year when it came. Real good year.
Everybody knows your 2015 story, so
of course.
Well,
you get double. You get double that year. That's what I'm getting at. You get two player performances.
Oh, because you get that one and then the next one. Yeah, they're trying to do it all. But Brock Purdy, I wonder what his salary is this year. Can we look that up? What Brock Purdy's current salary is? Because then we'll be able to kind of judge that. But Russell Wilson might be the cheapest starting quarterback
probably
going into the entire year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a weapon. That's quite an advantage. Is Kirk Cousins going to be able to do that for another team? We shall see.
Well, I mean, you look at what the rookie quarterbacks have done thus far, and, you know, Caleb was kind of the one guy that hasn't really come in and started immediately and done very well. So a guy like Kirk, especially if Penix, who's had 15 weeks to sit behind Kirk during the regular season. If Penix comes in and plays unbelievable, you got to think, hey, Kirk, of course, goes about his business right, knows what he's doing. Guys can learn behind him. Like even those top two teams, the Giants and the Raiders, you would wonder if they would take a chance like, hey, we could draft a guy and put him in right away, but, you know, Drake May sat behind someone, did very well. Penix pending him, he might sit behind, do very well right away. Why wouldn't you take those top 2 picks and think like, hey, we could spend $1 million, $2 million on Kirk Cousins, who's proven, who can show the next guy what to do. Because no matter what, those teams, it's not like the Giants and the Raiders are in that category of, hey, we get a quarterback, we're going to win 12 games next year. Like there's a lot.
They need to build a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot that they still have to do. And who knows, they might be in a completely new regime nonetheless too. So like those type of teams you would think might take a chance as well.
Brock Purdy's salary this year, $985,000, I believe is what it is. Cap hit total, his signing proration is $1,004,252. So that's what the San Francisco 49ers have been able to operate with. It's what the Steelers are able to operate with.
Not bad.
Right now. And what does Kirk do now? Is he the backup quarterback, or is this a Daniel Jones situation where he goes to like scout team, defensive tackle, or rushing punts? Because is he going to back up Penix now?
Yeah, it's never happened to him.
I don't know. Because he was back up to RG3, obviously. Whenever he first gets into the NFL, but he was drafted after RG3 was a setup. In this situation, it's his first year in Atlanta, which is why we thought tough to win over the trust of everybody while a top 10 pick's there. If you do hit a slump at all, there's going to be calls for Penix, which came very loudly.
Yeah.
And now they've had to make the decision to go to Penix, which once again might work out perfectly for him. They might end up looking like absolute geniuses in this, especially if Penix is going to play how they're talking about him playing.
Tough, man.
But does Kirk go to backup quarterback? Is he on the clipboard for Michael Penix? Is that how this? I don't know. Legitimately.
You're expecting to, be a good teammate. That's what I would expect him to do. You still getting paid. You're getting benched. Now you're the backup, and you're, facing a scout team. Maybe, that's the way he builds his confidence back up. But for Michael Penix, like, it's a tough spot. You going into, like, because shit moves so much faster during the game, and you hear the term mid-season form, like defenses are in, damn near postseason form at this point. So for a rookie to get thrown into that, it's going to be tough for him, and then obviously tough on Kirk. This is a big shot at his ego, his pride. We know how quarterbacks are. Now you're coming in the backup, but I expect him to be a backup, be operating that scout team.
Tom Brady, remember what he said about Daniel Jones?
That's right.
Tom Brady was like, it happened in Michigan, but if they want me to play wide receiver to help the team, I'll play wide receiver if you want me to help the team. Well, Kirk Cousins do the same exact thing in his first year because they are paying him a lot of money.
A lot of money.
Kirk Cousins is a competitor, though.
He's yeah. I mean, come on. But this is also.
What do you mean? Come on. What do you think Kirk does in this situation?
I think he'll still just be the backup because, like, at this point, what really can happen? We're so late in the season. But this is also why everyone killed the Falcons because, granted, this situation is working out for the Broncos right now, but. They squandered you have Penix on a rookie deal, but they can't really improve the roster that much because they have so much dead cap now. So you can't even really take advantage of the fact that you do have a rookie quarterback. It's like everyone knew this was a possibility, and it was kind of like they were just like, no, it's not. There's no way this is. And then all this, how many weeks ago he set the Falcons single game passing record for yards, and then 6 weeks.
It is a crazy time to be an Atlanta Falcons fan. Still in it.
Still in.
And Penix might come out, and maybe they thought Kirk Cousins is the perfect guy to show Penix how to be a pro because Raheem saw Kirk operate behind the scenes previously. Maybe this decision will end up working out perfectly for him, and they'll be able to laugh in our face. But to your point about roster construction, very valid.
Tough.
But that's only for next year, I think. So they will have maybe a couple years ahead